This video is sponsored by Disney Book Group to celebrate the newest book in the A Twisted Tale series. Hello friends, today I will be sharing with you my very lengthy October TBR. Friends and pumpkin pals. My name is Lexi and welcome back to my channel. Today I am so incredibly excited to share with you quite the lengthy TBR list, or books that I'd like to read this October. But before we get into the video, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Disney Book Group, and promotion for the book What Once Was Mine. What Once Was Mine is a YA fantasy book by Liz Braswell. The 12th installment for the New York Times best-selling series asks the question, what if Rapunzel's mother drank a potion from the wrong flower? Desperate to save the life of their queen and her unborn child, the good citizens of the kingdom comb the land for the all-healing sundrop flower to cure her. But someone mistakenly picks the blossom of the moondrop instead. This shimmering flower heals the queen, and she delivers a healthy baby girl with hair as silver and gray as the moon. But with her mysterious hair comes dangerous magical powers. For the safety of the kingdom, Rapunzel is locked away in a tower and put under the care of the powerful good wife, Mother Gothel. For 18 years, Rapunzel stays imprisoned in the tower. When she finally decides to leave, she gets caught up in an unexpected adventure with two thieves. Before she can reach her happy ending, Rapunzel learns that there is far more to her story than she ever knew. I love the concept of this series so much because I happen to be a person who is a huge fan of fairy tales, and I love it when people can put kind of a twist to the fairy tales all of us know and make it something totally different. But on top of that, I just have to tell you that I love Rapunzel so much. Like, I go hard for the movie Tangled, and to be honest, aside from Belle, I feel like the Disney princess that I most relate to is Rapunzel, and I'm really excited to see kind of like a new twist on her story. What Once Was Mine is available to purchase everywhere. It was released September 7th, and I will go ahead and leave a couple of links down below in the description if you would like to learn more about this. So thank you again, Disney Book Group, for sending me this book, and without further ado, let's get on to the rest of the TBR. For this TBR, I'm doing something a little bit different. I kind of want you guys to help me choose what I'm going to be prioritizing and also vlogging this month, which is very exciting. I've actually never done that before, and I'm really excited about it. So here's the deal. My goal for the month is to read 6 books. I have broken down my to-be-read pile into 6 different categories. The categories are going to be dark academia, witchy books, classic gothic tales, books that sound like Knives Out, or I guess you could also say cozy mysteries, books that have a touch of fantasy or whimsy to them, and then finally, the scariest books I own, aka horror. And I would like you to do one of two things. If there is a book from a category that you think I'm really going to love, or you would really love to see me read, please let me know down below and I will kind of go off of some of your comments. Or if you would like me to do a dedicated reading vlog to one specific category. So like, let's say you want me to read just witchy books, and I will have a vlog out in October where I only read witchy books. I really want to vlog all of these books and read all of these books, but in reality, I can probably only do one dedicated vlog this October, and I'd like to do something that you definitely want to see. Because this is going to be quite a long video, I highly suggest that you get yourself a piping hot cup of tea. That is what I did in this spooky little witch's brew mug. I am so excited to drink from this. I love this mug so much. I think it's like my favorite Halloween mug. So get yourself a cup of tea, and let's go ahead and start with the very first category, which is going to be dark academia books. The first book that I would like to read this September is going to be Atlas 6, and this is by Olivie Blake. This is a new adult and self-published novel, which I'm really excited to read. I think that the category technically is going to be a fantasy or an adult fantasy read. Yes. This is about a secret society held in the world's most magical and ancient library. I literally heard that and was completely sold on the book. So this particular book is following, I believe, 7 people who are all competing to get a spot into this ancient secret society held in the Library of Alexandria. In this book and in this world, the Library of Alexandria, which I think is known to be like the greatest library that ever existed but was totally burned down, actually still exists, and it exists in secret. I guess the scholars and librarians there all have like magical powers or something like that, and so all 7 of these people want to compete to get a spot into this secret society. However, only 6 of them will actually make it. I don't know what happens to the 7th one. I want to say they're killed off, but I think I only want to say that because it adds a little bit of suspense. I don't actually know what happens to the 7th one. Maybe they just like go home and chill, but we're gonna say they're murdered. The stakes are pretty high. You either get into the secret society or you die, I think. The second dark academia that I would really like to read is going to be Legendborn. This is a book that has been on my radar for such a long time, and I've been really wanting to read it for months and months, but I really specifically wanted to save it for October. This is another book all about secret societies. Are we sensing a theme? So this is following Bree, and Bree goes to a boarding school after her mother tragically dies, and Bree kind of wants like a fresh start in a brand new place where she does not have to think about her family or what just happened. But on her very first night at campus, she notices a magical act. And then enter this like secret society, and I'm pretty sure that they are trying to recruit her. It sounds incredible. It sounds perfect for spooky season, and it definitely sounds like an incredible dark academia and fantasy book. Next up is a book that I meant to read in September, but I did not get to it, and that is All's Well, and this is by Mona Awad. And I think this is categorized as an adult literary thriller. This book is about Shakespeare, weird surrealism, and possibly murder. We love to see it. So all I know about this is that it follows the professor who is at this theater arts university, and she is conducting a Shakespearean play. However, all of the actors that she has cast to be in this Shakespearean play, she is convinced are out to get her because nobody is listening and they all want to do a totally different play. But one day this professor is approached by 3 mysterious benefactors who all tell her that they can solve all of her problems. Next up, we have got Witchy Books. The first book is a book that I don't have here with me, and it is the Ex Hex, and this is by Erin Sterling. And this is an adult fantasy, and I'm pretty sure it might be a romance as well. So I have the summary right here in front of me, and it says, 9 years ago, Vivian Jones nursed her broken heart like any young witch would, with vodka, weepy music, bubble baths, and a curse on her horrible boyfriend. Sure, Vivi knows that she shouldn't use her magic in this way, but it's a breakup. What else do you expect? She isn't worried that it'll cause him anything more than a bad day or two. That is until Rice returns to Georgia, which should be a quick trip to recharge the town's ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall festival turns disastrously wrong. With one calamity after another striking Reese, Vivi soon realizes her silly little Ex Hex may not have been so harmless after all. I love that it's kind of a little bit of a romance. I love that this is a little bit lighthearted. I think that you kind of need that because a lot of the spooky books on this list are really serious or like downright scary. And so I really want to read this one to kind of add a little bit of like lightheartedness to the mix. But also I love that there's going to be an autumn festival in this. That just sounds so autumnal and cozy. So I really can't wait for this one. The next one is a book that I really wanted to read last year as well. And so I am determined, hopefully, to read this book this year. And that is The Ravens. And this is by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. And I heard about this book specifically from Liv's channel, from Olivia Reads a Latte, and this is a YA fantasy book. The only thing I know about this book is that it takes place at a university campus, and this girl is rushing different sororities, and when she gets into a sorority, she learns that it's not actually a sorority. It's a coven of witches. It just sounds so cool, you know? So I'm really excited about that. It's giving me kind of like Ninth House vibes a little bit. I think it's gonna be really fun. And also, what a dream, you know? That would just be so much fun to join a sorority and then find out that you're all witches and you have magical powers. What a life. And then finally, we have here the last book in this category, which again, I really want to read, and that is going to be The Witch Haven, and this is by Sasha Payton Smith. This is a book that was just released. I feel like it is on so many people's radars. It sounds absolutely incredible. And again, this is going to be a YA fantasy. So this is kind of like historical fantasy. This takes place in 1911, and we are following Frances, who is our protagonist. She is a seamstress in New York when a man mysteriously tries to attack her and then ends up on the floor with scissors sticking out of his neck. Brutal. We love it. However, Frances says that she didn't do it and she has no idea how the scissors got there, when suddenly two mysterious nurses in long dramatic capes come and whisk her away to what they are saying is a sanatorium. And then once there, boom, it's a magical witch school. Okay, next let's move on to books with Knives Out vibes. If you have not seen this, this is such an incredible movie. I love it so much. I saw it this year, actually just a couple of months ago. It's just like a cozy whodunit murder mystery. The first book here is a book that you guys actually picked, and that is The Inheritance Games, and this is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is about Avery, and Avery is just trying to survive her senior year of high school when all of a sudden she is called in mysteriously to a will reading for a billionaire who has just died. Stranger yet, he has left her all of his money. The only catch is that she now has to live in his mysterious old mansion, which is filled with secret passageways, secrets of its own, and also members of his family that are not too happy with her for getting all of the money. The next book is by Sherry Lapina, and it is Not a Happy Family, and this is an adult thriller mystery. So Not a Happy Family is following a couple who has just been brutally murdered. They lived in the Upper East Side of New York, and they were incredibly wealthy, and after their murder, their family is absolutely devastated. Or are they? The book basically explores the themes of, did the family members have anything to do with it, and who exactly is going to inherit all of the money? We love to see it. Not in real life, but in books. In books, give me all the drama, you know? Next, let's go ahead and move on to the category of like Gothic Classics for this time of year. So for this category, I have Something Wicked This Way Comes, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or Dracula by Bram Stoker. And all of these are considered to be Gothic, except I actually think this one might not be considered Gothic. However, I'm putting it in here because I know it is considered like a modern classic as far as like spooky books are concerned, and I want to read it. Okay, so let's start with this one. So Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury is all about a magical and slightly sinister carnival that comes to town around Halloween. I don't really know a lot more about that, but I do know that at night, supernatural things are let into this carnival. I think things get pretty twisted from there. I have heard that this is scary, but I've also heard that this is one of the most atmospheric and perfect books for fall. I've heard that from so many people. It's kind of giving me Night Circus / Caraval vibes, and I loved both of those books so much. So yeah, I'm excited to possibly read this one. The next book is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and this is by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this book is about a mad scientist who might possibly be creating a monster / does he become the monster? I don't know. We don't know. I haven't read it. I like this one though because it's fairly short, so I can do oh my gosh, and it matches! Wow! And then the final book, of course, is going to be Dracula, and this is by Bram Stoker. And this is about Edward Cullen, but minus the sparkle and with a lot more blood. No, but this is about Dracula. Dracula is one of the most famous vampires out there. I know that this is supposed to be a lot more horrifying and scary. I'm just really excited to kind of read a classic and see, I don't know, where all of this inspiration for a lot of the vampires came from. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. But also, if I end up reading Dracula by Bram Stoker, I would like to pair this book with reading The Deathless Girls, and this is by Kieran Millwood Hardgrave. This was actually my plan last year. I kind of wanted to read both of these books together because this book is actually about like the wives of Dracula. This is a YA kind of like dark horror book. In this book, two of the wives actually end up, I think, falling for each other, which is a very interesting take, and I think would be really, really fun to read alongside the original Dracula. Now let's go ahead and move on to the fantasy and the whimsical books. Okay, so for this category, I have 3 books here. The first one is the second book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. The next one is the new release by TJ Klune, and it is called Under the Whispering Door. And then the last book in this category is going to be Amari and the Night Brothers, and this is by B.B. Alston. Let's go ahead and start with this one. But I'll go ahead and I'll switch it back up so that I can have the cool bing effect. The first one I have here is Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. Bing! This book is all about a girl named Amari whose brother Quentin has gone missing, and while she is going through his stuff and looking for clues as to where he might have gone, she finds a mysterious ticking briefcase. And that briefcase leads her to find out that there is a magical bureau with a secret society where her brother was planning on basically trying out to get into, I think, like a magical school. Amari is convinced that this somehow is tied with the disappearance of her brother, and so she decides to try out for this magical school. However, apparently she does have some magical abilities, but they are all considered illegal at this place. And so we are following her journey as she is looking for her brother and also trying to get into this school with an illegal power, and it just sounds perfect. The next book is such a whimsical book. Like, it just sounds whimsical. I really, really want to read it. It's by one of my favorite authors, and that is Under the Whispering Door. This is a book by the author who wrote The House in the Cerulean Sea, which was one of my favorite books from last year and just feels like a warm, cozy hug. And so I really, really want to read this book. All I heard about this book at first was that it involved a tea shop and death. And I was like, you know what? That sounds great. So this particular book is about Wallace, and Wallace meets the Grim Reaper at his funeral. The Grim Reaper then takes him to a mysterious little village in the mountains, and there is a magical little tea shop where I think the manager of the tea shop tells Wallace that he gets 1 week to live as much life as he wants before he passes over to the other side. And then finally, the last book in this category is the continuation in the Mistborn series. I didn't actually get to read this in September, so I would like to read it soon. So I won't tell you what this book is about because of spoilers, but the Mistborn series basically is following a girl named Vin who discovers that she is a Mistborn, which means that she can wield all of these different magical abilities, and she is asked to basically join a heist. There is one last category, and those are the scary books. I might do a vlog on these books if people want me to, but my disclaimer is this. If they're too scary for me, I will DNF them. So the 2 scariest books that I personally own are going to be Stephen King's The Shining and also House of Leaves, and this is by Mark Z. Danielewski. Okay, so let's first start with the Stephen King book, The Shining. So this is an adult horror book. The only thing I know about this book is that we are following a writer who is staying in a hotel with his family. While they're at the hotel, I think the writer ends up possibly sort of slowly going into madness. And I think that this book is following that descent as well as what happens to his family. I'm scared about this, but the one thing that I will say is I kind of want to read it so that I can watch the movie right afterwards because I've heard that the movie is so fantastic. And then the second book I have here is going to be House of Leaves, and this again is by Mark Danielewski. And this book is really interesting. This is an adult horror book, but it's also considered experimental literature as well as ergodic literature. And what ergodic literature means is that it's literature with lots of different elements to it to understand the story. So what makes this book so fascinating is that you have like footnotes, you have like little stories within stories. Apparently this is actually following several different perspectives. The main story I think is really about a family who moves into this mysterious house. And I think they call it the House of Leaves. The house seems almost to be alive. And so the house itself is like expanding and also contracting. It's making different rooms, I guess, and maybe some of the rooms are scarier. I don't really know. I have just heard that it's really, really scary. And so you guys, I think those are all of the books that I would personally like to read this October. There are so many books and so many different categories, so I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear if you have a preference, if there's one specific book that you really, really want to see me read, or if you would like a dedicated vlog to any of the categories. I'm very, very interested in that. And also, also, I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to know what you are reading this month. I would love to know if you have any recommendations for me. Yeah, I just love chatting with you guys in the comments down below. And then finally, before I go, a huge thank you once again to Disney Book Group for sponsoring this video. Again, if you are interested in learning more about What Once Was Mine, all of the links will be down in the description, and I highly recommend that you check it out. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day and a wonderful autumn. I love you guys so very much. And until next time, book lovers, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book. Stay spooky.